Hello, guys. But generally, I know you're wondering that this person showed interest in you, and then all of a sudden, they just flipped and they don't want to hear anything about you. So, in today's video, I'm gonna show you the reasons why they lost interest in you all of a sudden. So, human emotions are complex, and we need to understand that sometimes things don't go the way we want. And I know you might be wondering what's the reasons, and so I'm gonna give you the reasons as to why that happened. And so stay with me, and yeah, let's learn together. So maybe you're just in a talking stage with somebody and things starting to get interesting, you're getting to know each other, but then all of a sudden these people, they start drifting away from you. And I know how it feels because I've been there. And yeah, these are emotions that we experience with human beings. Also, I might be wondering what's the reason for that. And the first reason is that, during the talk, you guys never had the compatibility. When you realize that maybe the person realized that you don't share the same interest as he thought or she thought that you might be sharing interest. Because you see, people who are getting to know each other, people who are experiencing something beautiful, something that triggers them to be in a relationship is sharing common interest and having the same goals and seeing things in the same way. When you realize that you people are not on the same page, maybe how your perspective of life and some things like economics and all this life stuff, it might change the way somebody feels about you, and in the long run they might see that no, I don't need to be here. So compatibility, I think it's important when we consider being with someone, and this is one of the reasons that might affect you. Okay, so it's important to ensure that you understand the interest of the person that you're talking to. Yes. The second reason is emotional connection. I mean, when there is no emotional connection with this person that things are starting to get well with, you're getting to know what they like, what they don't like, and then maybe the person feels like there is no emotional connection, like you don't share something in depth with them. And this is important because you see, emotions are what drives us to people. And yeah, so if somebody doesn't feel like they're connected to you emotionally, or they feel like there's something missing, like emotionally, like they don't feel the vibe, they don't feel the urge to be with you, to spend time with you, and they don't feel the essence of sharing with you vulnerability. And this might be a reason as to why they drift off of you. Probably it's not your fault, it's not your fault that this is happening. Sometimes just that emotional connection doesn't happen between you guys, and that's just it. And as I said, human emotions are really complex and you can't understand them. So a place where somebody feels like they are not connected emotionally, so that's the reason as to why they might drift away from you, and it just happens like that. The third factor is when somebody had emotional traumas and you feel like you're still in that point of a talking stage with them. You see, one mistake that we make is trying to ask people about their past relationship. I mean, some point it happens that we need to ask them what happened with the last relationship. Yeah, it's okay to ask that, but then considering that these people drifted away, the main reason, or it might have been that they're still not in place with their past traumas, so it might affect the way they feel, and they start to be skeptical. What if this person does to me the way the last person did to me? And this might make them drift away from you. So what I'll say is that don't always ask somebody about their past. Just deal with your present. Deal with them as they are, match their energy. I mean, I ever asked a friend about their past, and kind of I can say she was turned off about that. So it's something which is true. And she told me that, no, don't ask me those questions. Let's just talk about something else. So you understand that this thing is something which happens when a person has past traumas. It might make them drift away from you. None of this is your fault, because maybe you might just be asking just to, get information from them, but then it happens like that. So you being in a talking stage with somebody, don't ask them about their past. If they are open to tell you that, it's okay. When they are not ready to share with you, maybe you should just wait until the time they have healed very well, and they can express themselves about their past relationships or something like that. But if he or she doesn't want to talk about it, just keep the conversation flowing and don't talk about it. Or you can open up to them and tell them your part of story, that it's A, B, C, D that happened, and now it's upon them to decide if they will open up to you the way you've just done to them. So I think it's important if you do that. So yeah, the fourth reason, this mostly happens with a lot of people. Infatuation. It happens with a lot of people, because you see a person, you fall in love with them, you want to talk to them, find a lot of time with them, but then within somewhere during that period, you realize that you don't share common values. Like, they don't seem the way they seem when you saw them at the first point. So this makes you drift away, or this makes them drift away from people that they might have potentially be greater with them. See, infatuation occurs when you feel like this excess desire you have for somebody, or this feeling that you have for somebody. In the value basis, it's not there, but you just feel like you need somebody. Maybe she looks attractive to you, and you want to know more about them. So this is where infatuation occurs, and when you realize that the same thing is not there, or it's not the way it seemed to be, or you go, so it's just like that. And it happens, you need to understand that this happens in way more relationships. People who are still in a talking stage. So you need to find a valid reason, something which drives you to somebody. You feel like you wanna have something special with them. There has to be a value. You people say that love is not measured with things that we see, which is true. There has to be values. There has to be value. That's why you see people who infatuate about other people, they later on just drift away. And that's another reason that can make a person lose interest from you. When it's tough, it happened to me. I've experienced it. One, there's this thing called change in priorities. Priorities change every time. Human life is complex. Human relationships are complex. You see, you fell in love with a person, having this thing in mind that you'll be in love with them every time. Like, it won't change, but things change. That's how financial issues start getting in, educational issues, and at a point it drains you and you feel like you're losing interest in it. So yeah, priorities change. You realize that you needed this relationship now you don't even need it that much. There are a lot of things that you need to cope up with, like you need to pay your bills, you need to go to work, love is part of life, but you haven't prioritized it the way you first prioritized it when you started relationship. Because you see, we generally, the youths, the young generation, we enter in a relationship knowing that this is what I need somebody maybe to cuddle me, I need somebody we can go on a date with. But you realize after getting this much of the time, priorities start changing, because you need to get the finances to take them out on a date. You need to study, you have family issues, like you see, and so you find yourself drifted from this person. Or maybe when you just started to talk to them and you just realize that I'm not feeling the vibe, because most of the time you are taken away by other things. So it's a fact, priorities do change, it's true. this one is monotony and predictability. You see, especially when now you are in a relationship, you have this kind of routine that on weekends you do this, you do that, and over time you realize that it becomes so predictable to your partner, or it becomes predictable to you as a person. And with time, you start feeling that no, I know on a weekend we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and so it becomes boring, and you find yourself losing interest. Now, this also applies to a time when you can't give the person you love, you give them their space. I mean, just let them figure out what they want to do with their space. And yeah, so it's important to note that sometimes you need to change things and put up some spark, some new things. Okay, do things differently. I can't say how you people date out there, but then just find a way of doing things differently, things that you do normally. Maybe if you are people always Netflix and chill most of the time on the weekends, you can decide to go to swimming. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of fun things you can do with your partner, or the person which you feel like potentially you have something special with them. So don't make the relationship be so predictable to the extent that it becomes boring to the people you love. So at least try to spark it up a little bit, make some changes here and there. Okay, yes, it will be important to you and to your relationship, and I promise you it's gonna work.